BJ from Gumbo. I've got my guests Adam and Woody from Hutchu Games, and we're talking spicy games that they played recently. Here's a game that I have yet to play, but everybody's talking about on the internet. So obviously you guys have played it already. Tell me about Pipeline.
Yeah, Pipeline's it is now that is a big game. You open that up and it takes you, maybe even 30 minutes to set it up. But it's one of those games that it's one of those games that becomes simple once you know all the parts. It's only complex in its scope. So once it becomes really intuitive how the game plays, as you play it. It's not one of these ones you're constantly referring to the rule book again, because even though it looks like really busy, it becomes very intuitive. I'm trying to think of other games that are like that are intuitive once you.
Well, it's just a steep learning curve.
Learning curve. That's
it. It kind of smooths out.
Right.
Well, we were talking about Ragusa, and Ragusa does look kind of busy for first time people look at it, especially the city area. But once you play the first 2 rounds, you start to figure out how it works. Is Pipeline a game that is going to be recognizable just from the board itself? In other words, that the board kind of teaches you how to play. Smartphone is like that. If you guys have played Smartphone, you could almost, the rule book's terrible, by the way. You could almost throw away the rule book and teach yourself. Viticulture is like that. Viticulture and Smartphone, you can teach yourself almost 90% of the game from the board itself. Is Pipeline that intuitive?
No.
Okay.
All the little small pieces are intuitive, are memorable when you start them. So
okay.
It's not. There's nothing in the book.
Well,
you have to read.
But I will say that, like when you look at the board and in the image everybody hopefully sees on the screen, in the middle there are pretty helpful little indicators, like this is for the refined market, this is for the whatever market. I find those things to be kind of helpful. I'll tell you. So I have a couple of observations about this game. One is that I really want to be good at this game, and I'm really terrible. Like the first time we played, there were 2 players in the 600s, and I think I had 150. I don't know. That was bad.
I was one of those 600s.
Yeah. Wow, the scores are that big in this game.
Yeah, it was brutalizing. The second thing I'll say about it is that it requires some 3D visualization.
Okay.
The better you are at 3D visualization, the better you're going to be at playing the game. And I think, in the lottery of skills, I was not given that one. So
I absolutely adore any kind of game that incorporates that spatial puzzle, but I'm not going to tell you I'm good at it. I just like the mechanic. I mean, I can love the Major League Baseball. It doesn't mean I'm really good at it. I love those kind of spatial games. So Pipeline has that element, and I did watch the Shut Up and Sit Down review, and I noticed, all the little tiles have to be fit together, and you got to think through how it's going to work, during the course of the game. That's a puzzle that intrigues me.
It is. And one of the things that's kind of frustrating about this game, though I loved it, don't get me wrong. So I'm going to say something negative about it, but it's actually, I still enjoy it. And that is, you can set your deck of cards up and you need that one last piece and you see it. And then somebody can look over at you and see that you need that piece and take it. And then it just ruins everything.
Oh.
You just see people's hopes and dreams get crushed by you just taking a piece that you kind of can use, but they really can use it. And actually, I'll be honest with you, I think you have to play it that way in order to have a shot at winning. There's a little bit of, hate drafting in this game in order to really make it sing. So, but just expect to get your heart ripped out of you at least once or twice.
So Pipeline, 2 thumbs up from Woody and Adam?
Oh yeah. No, it's a really, I've been trying to play a lot of economic games, so I think Ragusa falls in line with that. This does.
Sure.
Several others along the way, and this is what I find interesting about this is it's the deepest of the economic games that we've played so far in terms of how far down they build the model, and they don't obscure it. So it's all very much kind of in your face. I think they do a good job of tying the mechanic to feeling like you're refining oil. So you kind of are in that mindset, which again, I like. I can't stand things that are just puzzles. drives me nuts. So anyway, those are things I like.
When people hear economic game, they hear a tinge of cruelty sometimes. Is this a cruel game? Is this a really hard game? No, and when I'm hard, I mean, is it punishing if you're not watching your money correctly?
Yes, absolutely. Because if you make some of the first things you have to do in this game is you have to take loans out in order to buy stuff. And if you get more than a couple loans in, I mean, you're sunk. So, that's one of the ways you get resource constrained with money. And now you can't buy the pipelines. You can't upgrade the machinery. You can't, get more storage tanks for your fuel. So you end up being outrageously resource limited because you can't borrow any more money. So I had to do all that stuff, and that's part of the reason I lost terribly.
The one thing I want to mention about pipeline is that once the game is finished, I love games that when they're finished, and Ragusa's like this too, when it's done and you look over the board, you feel like you are living what it's trying, the setting. Ragusa feels like you were part.
Yeah, we lost you there for a second. Got you back.
Oh, sorry. So I don't know when you lost me, but I was going to talk about.
You said Ragusa feels like when you finish the game, Ragusa really feels like you've accomplished what the designer was trying to do with the city itself, right. Not just the game.
When you're done with Pipeline, you look over the carnage left on the whole board, especially if you play with a lot of people. When you drive past those refinery areas with all those pipes and things sticking out, man, it looks like one of those. Those things with the gouting flame and the big oil refineries that you drive past, and
like you and I drive on I-10 all the time and see everywhere between Beaumont and Lake Charles, right?
Yes, you feel like you're part of one of those gigantic pipeline systems. I mean, it really brings you in.